This time on Road and Race, we fit and test new stiffer sport springs and fix the broken drive shaft.
Hello and welcome to another episode on Road and Race. What are we up to this week, Gary?
This week we're changing out the springs on the Clio to bring it down a bit, hopefully, and also a new drive shaft on the offside, driver's side.
So here are the Graham Sport Springs from Kam Racing. These stiffer springs are suitable for both road and track use and should lower the car by up to 30mm. Costing about £140, it should be a cheap way to remove some of the body roll we experienced at the track. But first up, we have to deal with the problem of the split CV boot. We could have fitted a new boot to the existing shaft, but as a new shaft was £60 and the existing one had done over 100,000 miles, we opted to go for the new one. Out comes the big breaker bar to loosen the drive shaft nut. Then with the car on stands and the wheels off, we need to remove the brake caliper and disc. Off comes the ABS sensor, and then the bolts attached to the wheel hub. The nut holding the shock comes out and the whole unit slides out. Now we can free the drive shaft from the hub and pull it out. A quick clean with a rag gets rid of the spilt shaft grease. Then we can grind down the piece of metal that caused the boot to split in the first place. Now we can swap out the springs. And with the shock back together, we can fit it back onto the car. Now on to replacing the rear springs. Here's a comparison between the original and new springs. And here's the rear, all finished. Here's a shot of the car before and after. At first glance it's not massively lower, but looking at the front it has dropped a fair bit. Next up, it was time to get a wheel alignment. Here's the before printout. As you can see, there was a little too much toe on the right front and a problem with camber and toe at the rear. After, you can see the front is all sorted, but there are still issues that remain at the rear. The mechanic doing the alignment said you can't actually align the rear on a Clio, so I'll have to try and figure out what's going on there. Maybe it was due to the small accident it had in its past. If you have any ideas, I'd be keen to hear them in the comments. But that aside, now that the car has new springs and has been aligned, how does it feel on the road?
Right, so the Clio is lowered. I have to shout because this car is starting to sound like a proper race car, no interior. You can hear every single thing
exhaust, road, creaks, rattles, everything. Anyway, so the car is now lowered on the Kam Racing lowering springs. Now, the car was quite stiff anyway, but it does feel a bit stiffer. It's firmer, so over the bumps the suspension just feels tighter. It's not too bad. It's going to be interesting to get it on the track to see how it takes the corners. It feels quite nicely balanced. We're not too sure if we're running the cup suspension or the cup shock absorbers, unfortunately, so I can't really say if it's the cup shock absorbers or the standard ones, but it is quite bumpy on these roads. Yeah, it's definitely flatter through the corners, definitely an improvement on the standard suspension. On the standard springs we were getting a lot of diving, the nose was diving in a lot into corners, a lot of body roll. It's definitely feeling firmer, albeit this is on the public road, it's a different story on the track, but initial impressions are good. Plus the car looks better as well from the outside, albeit it's still a little bit high at the back, but that's because there's no weight on the rear of the car because we've stripped out the interior. Plus the springs should bed in a bit after a while, and they should drop a little bit anyway, but there's not much we can do about that. So yeah, overall, I think it's much of an improvement. So we'll have to take it to the track and see how we get on there, see if it can shave any more time off of our benchmark lap.
Next time on Road and Race, we purchase a second-hand sports exhaust, fit it, then test how she sounds.